When I was a kid in my old house, we had these old Disney VHS tapes, like the kind that the kids would have around maybe say the 90s or the early 2000s especially. However, there was one VHS tape that holds dear to my heart, even though we don't have it anymore. Namely, the one called Home on the Range. Like, yes, that's right, the Disney movie with the talking cows and the Western theme story. But in this case, I actually liked it because the plot was pretty funny. Not as funny as Emperor's New Groove, of course, but it was still pretty funny and also unique in its own way, especially since it literally involves a bunch of cows trying to save their farm from being, say, repossessed by the bank because some evil cattle rustler was stealing cows and taking all the land for himself. I thought the plot was pretty interesting, although I'm sure the movie had its flaws, but at the same time, I actually found it to be pretty decent. I mean, and even the art style was unique in its own way, despite some people calling it ugly or too jagged and stuff. And the funny thing is, I was actually inspired to write a story that was loosely inspired by it. Though in this case, it doesn't involve talking cows, but it does involve a Western themed story, albeit it's more supernatural. The funny thing is, I found out in the early draft of Home on the Range, it was going to be more supernatural, where Alameda Slim, the main villain, he was supposed to be a ghost of all things, and it's one of the few supernatural Disney villains to ever exist. But in this case, he was supposed to be a vengeful spirit who tried to take over all of America, or at least the western parts, because he held a grudge against a bunch of cows for causing him to die from a stampede, and as a result, it was up to the cows to put a stop to his reign of terror or something. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, like, the plot would have been probably more interesting if they went with that route, but who knows? I mean, either way, I actually found myself liking Home on the Range, and I even plan on referencing it in some of my fanfics or even original stories if I have the time.